there's nothing glamorous about cancer.
You can never be prepared enough for something like cancer.
I didn't have cancer, but it was the darkest time in my life, too.
Well, I was just getting ready for work and leaned my head back, and I noticed that it was really swollen. I got the biopsy report back and actually went to pick up the report myself because I was going to see my ENT. And so a doctor didn't tell me I had cancer. I read it off a piece of paper. The next day, I went to my ENT and he confirmed everything, and it was squamous cell carcinoma. The treatment kind of took off because it was stage 4. It traveled from my tonsil to my lymph node. I had a father who had cancer. Still, I couldn't relate to what it was like, you know? I mean, in my mind, it was a death sentence. I didn't want people to candy coat anything. I wanted them to tell me like it is. And they let me know, you're fixing to go through, I'm sorry. It's just hard with playing everything. You're fixing to go through a pretty difficult thing. Chemo and everything, it just takes you down to where you wither away to nothing, you know? And I got down to 130 pounds. My finances just began to dwindle because I was unable to work. I was unable to pay for insurance. I mean, it got to the point to where I couldn't pay for it. The money stopped coming in. And I had car payments, house payments. They had referred me to the social worker there at Texas Oncology, and which referred me to Cancer Care Services. And so they took over on my insurance and paid that, and prescriptions, and I mean, just all kinds of things. They were there to talk to me, counsel me, visit with me when I was going through tough times. They hugged me. You know, I have a wonderful daughter, Alana, and I just wanted to get my life back, you know, to where I'm teaching her to swim and I'm doing all the things that I used to do with her. At camp, I would just take her and drop her off, and she did different things that they were doing. They bought her Christmas presents, and, you know, and just kind of were there, you know. It's terrible not to be able to afford Christmas presents for your child. And they helped me during my cancer, and now that I'm on the other side in remission, they're still there for me.
I found a lump in my breast at the age of 36. That was in 2013. And I was diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer. I got a call from my gynecologist and told me on the phone while I was at work. Went to my car and just sat in my car and cried because I didn't know, do I go to work, or do I continue working, or do I go home, or what do I do? At that point, I knew there was like no going back to whatever my life looked like that morning when I woke up. I was actually on COBRA the year I had cancer. The deductibles and the out-of-pocket pay was just, it was over $25,000. It was very stressful on our marriage. My husband basically became the caretaker for my 3 and my 6-year-old. At that point, just only thing I could worry about was, what is my next thing that I have to do it, and then what is the next thing? I couldn't worry about anything, finances. I couldn't worry about the kids. I couldn't worry about my marriage. I mean, I hated having to call my neighbor and say, hey, I can't get out of the bathtub right now. I'm too weak. I cannot get out of the bathtub. Can you please come help me? A friend of mine went to a garage sale of somebody that had just had breast cancer and gone through her treatments, and she gave her a list of the people that helped her a lot, and one of them was Cancer Care Services. I called them, and immediately I had a meeting to meet with the case manager. All I knew is I needed any help I could get, specifically at the time financially. So they started letting me know what services I could get, and they were just so helpful. They helped with gas money for my doctor appointments. They paid for prescriptions. Having people walk with me and enter in my journey of having cancer made all the difference in the world to my outcome.
My dad was my best friend. I remember us going to the park a lot, walking together. He had a mole on the back of his right arm that started spreading, and he was diagnosed with stage 3 melanoma. When we did find out he had stage 3 and knew that it had spread to his lymph nodes, then again, you know, you shouldn't, but you look online and the statistics were awful. Everything comes crashing at you at once. You're thrown into surgery, which was in itself, it was really devastating. From that second he was diagnosed, I was running. I paid his bills every month, and those bills were, I would just lay them out on the living room floor, And if he asked me what's going on with the finances, every time everything is good, everything's all good. Everybody was giving us bad news. Everybody in Cancer Care was the first person to give us any good news during our cancer journey. We were set up to get reimbursement for cancer-related medications, and they started covering my dad's health insurance. They helped us financially, but even that financial help gave me strength and courage as a caregiver to fight for my dad. After my father passed away, when I was grieving, I really, really thought a lot about Cancer Care Services. A little over a year after that, I started working at Cancer Care. It felt really good to be in that building and to know that I was making an impact in others' lives as they were struggling.
The people at Cancer Care Services, they know that it affects more than just the physical. It affects you spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and so they're there on every level.
And they don't just leave once you're declared cancer-free or in remission. They're there to help you pick up the pieces.
Cancer Care helps you continue on. It helps you fight. Cancer Care gives you hope.